Right, it's E from marketwizard.com and eminywizard.com. And it is the 12th of April, about 5 minutes after 11 on Friday. Reminding traders to use risk capital you can afford to lose. Well, we've had a nice pullback. And I'd said earlier that we were either going to get some chop. Don't buy into the idea we can just keep going forever. Good fortune above 1475. We may get it. Said I don't think that the high is in yet. Depends on the pullback and what we get. When we get the strong pullback early, then it evens up the score. And we've talked about this as being a two-way day, probably because of the length of the move and some traders wanting to take some profits. So theoretically, usually when we get the swing early for profit taking, that puts a little pressure on the late longs. And then it emboldens the shorts. And then we'll get a little bit more usually in a direction that you'd love to see it keep coming, but you don't quite get what you want usually. And that's where you have to be satisfied and say, I know I'm going to leave some chips on the table or I'm going to have a trailer. If you have no trailer, you don't have a lot of options. We said this low at 02 is a key low. We said half gap trade is 2900.25. So right now we've trapped some lates. The thrust is still up for the day and for the week, and these are contras. This is a profit-taking swing. And just when you think it's safe to go back in the order and start to short and say, okay, we got them now, and that's when you get too confident in this direction. So we know that this has been our resistance and rejected. We know that this was our fighting, and we know that this is now our support box. So now we can move this down and say, fine, I get it. That's our support for now. This is our fighting box. And this is currently our resistance. So the overnight high was at that 1175, 12 area, and we're going to remember that as a key now for the rest of the day. So that's our resistance zone, right where we said it should be, 12 to 15, until broken. We break that, then anything goes. So this is a contra, and this is some profit taking and possible retest. And by retest, I mean the breakouts. First step has to get past the 02s. Then you need to get past the 00.25. And then finally, you've got to come back down and take out that 98 to 96 and then close the gap. Tall order. I am not thinking that way. If it does, I'll be the first to say I screwed up. I'll be happy to say I warned everybody about overstaying this, and certainly warning traders about overstaying down here. Zeke made a great post about the NASDAQ, the NQ, and how he thought that was leading us. Be very careful, long side. Fabulous post. Zeke knows his stuff. Here's your NQ, and here is your, and I've left this at the prior high. You can see how this was a head fake long, and then we've come back in, and this is retesting the breakout right here. Third time through trade, you can see it. I want to show you this stuff works in all of these products. And you see this drive, and then when we bust this low right in the air, at 42 area, tails, and then we come back, and all of these traders here that bought into the long side early are now getting stopped out. That's why I said today would be a treacherous type of day. because they give it to you all in fluff overnight, and then they come back down and they clobber everybody who bought into the idea that blah, blah, blah. And we said that would be one of the things we will be looking for today is evidence that a new high that gets up above 2,900 gets abandoned and keeps coming. And if we got that and even took out 85s, my goodness, that would be excruciating on anybody who, bought the top ticks. So approaching that 02 that we said early today would be our squeeze pivot until broken that support. And that's what makes trading so interesting. It's just like a ball game. You never know when the guy is going to throw a wild pitch or somebody's going to hit it out of the park. This is reality TV. You don't know. You don't go to the movie and watch the same movie over and over and say, okay, yeah, I know what happens. Nobody knows. Anybody that's coming short side, we said 05s to 02s is our support zone, paid for sure. Don't shoot the messenger. Just giving you my opinion as to what I think is the right thing to do and where you want to become conservative. If you are buying, use a 2-point stop. And thinking small. Here's your neckline that broke. And we've approached the middle. And when we were up here at the 14 and 12 area, and I suggested don't fall in love with the longs. We'll be lucky if we get back under 8s. If we do, then we know the door is open to come back and test the 5s. And then we know we can obviously come back and test the 2s if we break that. Step by step. Longs win the overnight battle, squeeze, throw it up there, come back, and this is a back and fill type trade. And now we've got a dogfight because both sides have money, especially the morning shorts who took the contra. Anybody who bought into the early morning longs is underwater. And that you can see over here. If you got any part of this as a short scalp, good for you. If you bought early today with the idea of testing for resistance, good for you. You're a trader if you did both.